What's up guys? In today's video I'm going to teach you and I'm going to show you how to create a MACD bot in Python with the MetaTrader 5 library, but we are also going to use sockets for taking the actual data in MetaTrader 5. We are going to do this in the cryptocurrencies markets, and you're going to see that this project is going to be very cool. So first of all, the first thing that we need to do is to install MetaTrader 5. So once you have this installed, this is the IDE, this is for later, you have to do several things. So the first one is creating an account. So there are a lot of brokers. I recommend you this one if you want to use if you are going to do a bot for cryptocurrencies. I recommend you this one, the Evolve Markets. You create an account, it's free, you don't have to pay anything, and yeah. So once you've done this, the next thing that you have to do is to set some things. So for example, you come here to Tools, Options, and you have to click on this first one. It has to be like this, like you have to allow the algorithmic trading, and then you have to allow web request for the following URLs. So you also click here, you have to leave this like this, and you add localhost. So for example, you double click here and you put localhost, but I already have this. So once we have all this, we are ready to start building our bot. And the first thing that we need to do is that we need to open Visual Studio Code, and let's create a folder in which we are going to create all that. So we are going to put here MACD bot. We are going to put it here, and now that we have that folder open, the only thing that we need to do is to do some things. First of all, we need to install some libraries, and the library that we have to install, let me see if I'm able to open the terminal. Here it is. So let me activate Conda activate. The first library that we have to install is the MetaTrader 5 library. So for that we put pip install MetaTrader with this second T as a capital letter, MetaTrader 5. We press enter, and yeah, I already have it installed, but you just have to install this one. The next thing that I recommend you doing is installing the extension for Python. So for example, you come here, you put Python, and don't install the first one. You have here the Python extension pack that has everything you need. So yeah, with this you are ready to go, and now we are truly ready to go to start building our Python bot. So first of all, what are we going to create? We are going to create a class that is going to create some threads in which each thread is going to do one thing. So for example, we are going to have one thread which contains the logic for taking the data from MetaTrader with sockets, and the other one that is going to use the MetaTrader 5 library for opening orders. So we are going to create the file called bot.py, and here the first thing that we have to do is to define a class. But first of all, we need to import the library we just have installed. Let me put this down here because we don't need it. So we say import MetaTrader 5, and we are going to call it as MT5. So then what we have to do is to create the class. So we put here class bot. We don't need to inherit anything, and we are going to receive some things in the constructor. So we are going to create here the constructor, and we are going to receive the self. Now we are going to receive the lotage, which is going to be a float. Then we are going to receive the time period in which we are going to operate. This is going to be an integer. And then we are also going to receive the market in which we are going to work, and this is going to be a string. So once we have all this, the next thing that we have to do is to initialize some variables. First of all, as I said before, we are going to use threads. So I think it's useful that we have a list in which we store all the threads. So for example, we are going to call this attribute threads, and it's going to be equal to an empty list. So once we have that, we need also a dictionary, a common dictionary between all the threads in which we are going to store the MACD. I want this to be common because, for example, the thread that takes the information is going to share this information with the thread that makes the orders. So that's why I want to make this shared. So the only thing that you need to do to make this shared is just making a dictionary. So for example, we put here self data, and we are going to create two entries. The first one is going to be called MACD, and the second one is going to be called signal. So now these are set to none, but in the future they will be lists that will contain just the last two values, which are the only ones that we need. So now that we have this, we also need to import another library, which is threading, because we are now going to create an event. This event is going to be the one which will allow the bot to stop whenever we want. So for example, we are going to put here pill to kill, which is going to be the event. And for creating the event, we are going to do threading event. So now we have the event for stopping the thread, and now the next thing that we need to do is to initialize the trading data. So the trading data is just all these things that we are receiving here. So this is also going to be a shared dictionary, and for doing that, for creating this shared dictionary, we are going to put here trading data, which is going to be equal to a dictionary. The one is going to contain the lotage, which is equal to the lotage, then the time period, which is equal to the time period. Let me put this, okay, and finally the market, which is going to be equal to the market. And we have finished with the constructor. So the next thing that we can do is that we can at least name the functions that are going to create the threads. So for example, we can put here def thread MACD. This function is going to create the thread of the MACD. It just receives the self, and we are going to put here pass for now, like we are not going to do anything. And then here we can put thread orders. Only these two functions are the ones we need. So here we put this and pass, well, these two methods. So the next thing that we need to do is to, okay, handle the threads and all that. So for example, we need a function to kill the threads. So we are going to call this function kill threads, and here we are going to call self. And what we can do is that we can print a message to say, hey, is this okay? Let me put here, not here, let me put info killing the threads. So, okay. Now what we are going to do is that whenever we call this function, we set the event that we created here. So for that, we access the pill to kill element that we created before, and now we just call the method set. And now for each thread, we need to join it. Basically, we need to wait for it to close it appropriately. I don't know how to say that well. So here we are going to put, okay, I'm going to access the thread list, and for each thread I want to join. So now we are killing the threads in the right way. Now, another thing that we need to do is to create a function to start all the threads, but this one is very, very simple. So for example, we are going to put here start, and is just simply calling these two methods that we created. So for example, thread MACD, and the other one is going to be thread orders. So the next thing is to create a function that will allow us to say, hey, press enter and you will stop the execution of the bot. So here we are just going to say wait. We are going to call this function wait, and yeah, we are going to print, hey, press enter to stop, and yeah, that's it. So let me put this. We are going to put an input here, which is going to be the enter that you press, and basically after you press this, we are going to call the function kill threads. So After this, we are also going to shut down the connection with the MT5 library. So for that, we put shut down. Okay, so now we are ready to create these two thread functions. So the first one that we are going to create is the MACD one, the one which will take the data that we need. So in order to do this, first of all, we need to create a thread. So for that, we are going to use the library threading. We are going to call thread, and now we have to set a target. So what is the target that we are going to set? So it is a function that we are going to define later. Let's put this for now, but it is a function that we are going to define later. So, oh my god, not this. The next thing that we need to do now is to set the arguments that this function is going to receive. The arguments are a tuple, so we leave this like this, but for now, we are not going to put that. Look, well, the thing that we are going to do now is that we are going to create another file called macd.py, and this is the file in which we are going to store everything. So first of all, we are going to create a function called def thread macd, which is going to be the one that we are going to call for the thread. So here we are going to receive the stop event, which is the pill to kill, and we are also going to receive the dictionary with the data, the shared dictionary, the dictionary in which we are going to receive everything. So, well, to print and to store everything, sorry. So now in this function, we need to do some things, but not many. First of all, we need to create a variable in which we are going to store the message that we receive from MQL5, but here what we need now is to create a socket, and this socket is going to be the server. So Python is going to act as a server, and MQL5 is going to act as a client and is going to be sending information. So how do we do this? What we can do is that we can create another function called socket ini. So for example, first of all, we need to import socket. Once we have this imported, we have to put here def socket ini is going to be, okay, first of all, we need to initialize the socket. So we are going to call this server socket is equal to socket. We are going to call again socket, and now we need to set the socket AF init. I think this was for IPs 4, the IP4, for setting that. And here we are going to say that this is TCP, that we are going to use the TCP protocol. So for that we say socket sock stream, and let me see, where is this sock stream? Okay, like this. So now the next thing that we need to do is to bind the socket into a direction. So for doing that, we are going to use this object that we created here, and we are going to do server socket bind, and here we receive a tuple. Be careful with this because I had mistakes of this in the past. So remember, you receive here a tuple and you have to set the direction localhost. That's why this was very important here in the tools and all that I told you before. And also we have to set the port. In my case, I'm going to set it as 8888. So this is the port. And now the next thing that we need to do is to say, hey, you have to listen. So we put here listen, and we say that we want a queue of 10 elements. So if we have 10 elements in the queue, the 11th is not going to be received. So we put here 10. And now we need to accept connection. So for example, we can put here connection address, because this is the thing that accept returns. So we put here server socket accept, and yeah, we have this perfect. So now the next thing that we can do is to print that, hey, someone has connected. So we can put here info connected with, and yeah, the address that has connected. And finally, we just need to return the connection object, and the server socket. Although I think that we don't really need to send the server socket. Yeah, we don't. So yeah, we can leave this like this. So now let's continue with the thread macd function, and in this function we need to now call the socket init. Sorry. So what I'm going to do is that we are going to use the connection object, and we are just going to call socket init. So now that we have called this, we are ready to be in a loop. So how do we create this loop? First of all, it has to be an infinite loop that needs to be stopped whenever we press the enter, or we set, well, pressing the enter means that we set the event that we talked about before. So here we are going to put while not stop event wait, and we are going to put a very small number. So basically it's not waiting. So now that we are here, we need to receive from MQL5 the messages. So for that, we are going to say that, hey, the message is going to be equal to, okay, we are going to use the connection object, and then we are going to call the function recv. We are going to set a buffer of 1024 or whatever you want, but it mustn't be very small. So for example, I would recommend you that at least you use 150 or 200 bytes. So for example, here we are going to use 1024. And finally, we have to put here the code, and that's it. We have now in this message variable everything that we need. So now here we have to stop sometimes the connection. So we are going to say that if we receive end connection, if this is in the message that we receive, we are going to break and we are going to go out from the loop. And let's do now something. Let's print the message and let's see if everything is going fine, because we have coded a lot and we haven't seen if everything is okay. So for example, I forgot that now here, what I have to do is that I have to import macd, and yeah, I'm going to do macd, and we are going to call this function, and let's see what it was taking. It is taking the stop event and the data. So now here we are going to put the self pl to kill and the self data, and I think that this would be enough. So another thing that I have to create is a main function. So here we are going to call this main.py, and we are going to import the bot class from the bot file. Okay, no, not like this. I should have put this without capital letters because now everything is a little bit strange, but whatever. So let's create the macd bot object, and for this we are going to use the constructor, and we need the loadage, which is going to be 0.01, the time period 60 seconds, because this time period I didn't tell you, but is in seconds, and then the market. So the market is going to be BTC EUR. So since we have created the start function, what we can do here is macd bot start, and then macd bot wait. And now if we come back to the terminal, what we can do is, okay, let me delete everything. I can do this python main.py. Okay, it seems that everything was working. Let me see if I have put something here in this function, a print or something. I haven't put anything, so I could put here, for example, print macd, well, here is info, and I can say that macd thread working, so it is more clear. But now it comes an interesting part. We need to define the client. So we have to come here to MetaTrader 5, and you need to do something. So you have to come here to the IDE, and well, you have this. If this is what we are going to create, you press here on new, expert advisor, you put here any name that you want, for example, A, and you don't click any of this. So this screen will be created, and the only thing that you need to do is to delete everything and come to my GitHub and copy all this. So you would copy all this and you would be finished. Let me delete the A, and I will explain you a little bit what we are doing in this file, in the MACD file. So what I'm basically doing here is in the MQL5 language, I'm creating a socket and I'm also loading the MACD information. Why am I doing this? Because here with this language, loading indicators information is super easy. So it's just this line of code and these other 2 lines of code. That's how you load information. So now the rest is just basically creating a socket connecting to the direction, which is localhost, the port that I told you before. And yeah, that's basically it. So now on every tick, what I'm doing on every tick, remember, of the price. So if the price changes 2 times in 1 second, you will receive those 2 changes. Sending messages to the server. So Python will receive here all the information. So the next thing that, well, let me show you what is this in my GitHub. So you can come here, GitHub, trading bot, then you come here to MQL5 Python, you come here inside MACD bot because I have this here, and now I don't have it inside here, but it will be in this folder. If it is not in this folder, it is in this one, in the previous one, because it's this one, MACD client. So it's this one, but this is a little bit different, but it does exactly the same. But remember, I will put this inside here, this exact same one. So inside here, you will have that, you will take it, you will put the code here, you will click on compile, you will check that there is no error, then you come back to MetaTrader 5, let me close this, you come back to MetaTrader 5, and now you just double click here, and you see that this has popped up. It means that the bot is here. You press accept, and you check here in the expert thing, if there is any message. So for example, now it is. So we had a socket failure, and I think that yes could be. So okay, I forgot everything. So for example, here in the thread MACD, we need to create the thread, okay, but we need to also initialize it, and I forgot to do this. So what we need to do is basically, okay, we are going to append this thread to the thread list. So here in threads, we are going to call append t, and then we need to press the start. So we start the thread, and now everything will be fine. So now that we have this, whenever you want to close this, you come here, you click, right click, you press on eliminate or delete, I don't know what would appear. And now you come here to the terminal, you put the bot, now, okay, everything is okay. And you double click again. So, okay, you have to see that here it says connection established. And here, now we are seeing on real time the values of the MACD. So this is the previous one, the one of the previous candle, and this is the current one. This left one is the MACD, and this right one is the signal. So what this basically means is that this is the one of the previous candle, and this is the one of the current candle. I just said that before, but yeah. So let me show you this little better. So when I'm saying that I am taking the current one, this one is the current one, we are taking these 2 values, the signal, which is the red line, and the MACD, which are the histograms. But this is the actual one which is changing. But here in the left, we have this one that is not moving. So this is the important one. Well, both are important, but yeah, this is this one, and the same happens in this case. So enough talking, let's continue. And now we need to store all this information in the lists that we have created that I said before that now are none, in these 2 lists that now are none. So let's continue. And yeah, how do we do this? First of all, we have to say, okay, we are going to load the MACDs, and let me stop this. Oh no, I have a problem. I have a real problem now because I think this didn't stop, but yeah. So we are going to put MACDs, signals, and from the message, I want to split it in the character that we use, which was this one. So now that we have split this, the MACDs and the signals, I want that the MACDs are going to change their value and the signals are going to change their value as well. So here, MACDs, we are going to split the message by commas, and yeah, signals, we are going to split the message also by commas. So now we have a list of strings, but we just have the values. Now we need to transform those strings into floats. How? So we are going to store those lists in the data dictionary, and we are going to do data. We are going to call MACD, and we are going to create a comprehension list. So for example, here we are going to say float of something, I don't know yet what, for each M in the reversed list of MACDs. Why reversed? Because I want that whenever in this list I access the element 0 is the last one and the element 1 is the previous one. So that's why I'm putting here reverse. So the only thing that I have to transform here is the M. And I have to do the same for the signal. So here what I can put is signal. Let me put here an S, and here signals. And now let's try if everything is more or less the same. So for example, what I can do is print the data MACD and print the data signal. So now we are going to open again the terminal, but since I've closed in a wrong way this, it won't work. So I need to change the port, and let's put 889, and here we are going to do the same. Let me stop this. So let's stop this, and well, now you can see how to do any change. So you come here and the port is 888, so here you put 8889. You compile, remember to compile, and then we are going to do the same again. So we are going to activate conda activate, then we are going to execute the main. Okay, and now we are going to put here the client, and as you can see we are receiving the same, but now these are lists of floats, and this is what we want. So this is totally okay. So now we have finished by of taking the information that we need. So for example, now the next thing that we need to do is to create the orders file. And this orders file is a little bit tricky. So yeah, one thing that I want to show you is that if you come here to internet, you put MT5 order send, you have a great example of how to do this. This is Python. So you have a great example on how to do this, and this is very useful. So I recommend you reading this. So okay, let's continue. And yeah, we are going to use that for this one, but here we are going to put order.py, and inside this order.py we are going to create the orders. So first of all, let's import MetaTrader5 as MT5, and then we are going to define something. So for example, let's define a big variable, well, a global variable in this file, which is going to be called candles between operations. And here I forgot the S. So this is going to set like, hey, it is too soon to open another operation, don't open that operation. So wait until 3 candles have passed since you opened the last operation. So this is going to be called like this. We are going to say now how many points do we want for the stop loss. We are going to say, for example, 100. And for the take profit, we may want 200. So, okay, now the next thing that we need to do is to define again a thread function. So we are going to do def thread orders, and we are going to receive obviously the stop event. Then we are going to receive the data in which we have all the information, the indicators information. And yeah, talking about indicators, I think I have to stop this because it's still working, yeah. But yeah, and now I also have to call the trading data, because in this data I have the market, I have the period, I have the lottage, very important things for the operations. So now the first thing that we need to do is to, since we are going to use this, like we are going to say that, hey, you need to wait, we need a variable to store the last operation time, the time in which the last operation was done. So here we are going to call this last operation time, and this is going to be equal to 0. Now we are going to set this time by using a variable that we are going to call AP. So for example, it means like something like epoch, like starting, like something like that. So we are going to put here date time is equal to date time. I have to import date time. Let me do this now. So I'm going to import here, oh my god, import date time, and here we are going to remove this. We are going to set the first time, like the epoch time, like 1970s 11000. So okay, we have defined this epoch and epoch. I don't know if it's epoch, and now we are not going to continue until the lists that we are going to use contain information. So how do we know if these lists contain information? We are going to say while data MACD is none. It means that it doesn't have any information because at the beginning this is going to be set to none, or the data signal is none. I don't want you to do anything, like just stay here checking until these two are not none. So once we've done this, we are ready to check operations. So we are going to do this info. We are going to say that, hey, orders are running. So here orders running, and we are going to say again that, well, we are going to create again the loop that we are going to use for the thread, and this one is going to also use the stop event. So while not stop event wait, we are going to put here a very small number, and let me check that here. Yeah, I put it the not. I was checking this because I didn't know if I put it this. I put this. So yeah, now let's continue, and now we need a variable to store the current time because we need to check all this, but we also need to check the times. So for that we are going to use cur time is going to be equal to an integer, and here we are going to receive an operation. We are going to say that, hey, use the current date time UTC now. So tell me the date time now, and I want to know the time between now and the last operation time, well, the epoch. So here we are going to use epoch. Well, this is the epoch, yeah. So we are going to use the total seconds, and yeah, that's it. So with this we have the total seconds that have passed, and now it will be easier to check how many candles between operations are. So now it's time to create the operations conditions. So for example, for the buy, we are going to put here buy. We are going to say if the data MACD, basically we are going to say, let me show you this in here. So for example, to buy, the MACD here must be below the signal, but then in the next candle it must be above the signal. And how do we represent this? We have to come here, the data MACD. We are going to say, okay, the last value must be above, we said. So we have to put here that the signal, the last signal value, it's above. That's why before here in the MACD I set here the reversed, because now with the 0 I know that this is the last one. And I also have to check that in the previous ones it wasn't like this, like it was the other way around. So let me put here this, and let's put a 1 here, and just that. So we need to check something else, and is that and the current time is bigger than the last operation time plus the trading data. We are going to use here the time period to know how many seconds are in a candle, and we are going to multiply this by candles between operations. So this is how we are going to set that, hey, don't operate if you just have open an operation and it's 3 candles away. So for example, now we have this condition and now we have 2 open operations. So we are going to set here last operation time is going to be equal to the current time because we are opening a position, an operation, and we are going to create a generic function that is going to open positions. So we are going to call this function open position, and for now let's leave this like this. Let me copy all this, and here I just have to put basically the same for the cells. Let me put here cell, but now this is the other way around. So here is like this, and here is like this. Why? Because whenever we try to sell, at the beginning the MACD is above and then it is below. So that's what we are going to check here. So okay, we have that defined, but now we have to send arguments to the open position. Let's first define the function. Let's put here def open position, and later we will define what we need. So what do we have to do in order to open a position? Remember, you have this here, like you have a great example of how to open a position. So what we need to do is to first, for example, set the value of a point, because we are going to need that for the stop loss and the take profit. So we are going to say that the point is equal to, and we need to call the empty file library and say, okay, give me the information symbol info of the market, and where do I get the market? So we know now that we need to receive the market. So we are going to receive the market, which is a string, and here you just have to put dot point. So here we have this, and yeah, now we need the current price, and it depends on whether you are opening buys or you are opening sales. So for example, let's say here this, if MT5 symbol info tick, so we want the tick, but I want you to give me the ask or the bid depending on what we are going to do. So the ask is for buys and so we need to check if the type operation that we defined here is equal to MT5 order type buy. Else it means that it's a sell. So instead of the ask, we need the bid. So here we are going to put bid. So yeah, that's it. That's what we need. And now the next thing that we need to do is to also set the stop loss and the take profit. So we need to do something very similar. So we have to say if type OP is equal to MT5 order type buy, and I'm realizing that I could do this price here. Let's do this price here. Let's put here price, and in the case that is a buy, we are going to take the ask, but also we need to set the stop loss, the SL, and we're going to say that it's the current price minus the stop loss by a point, the value of each point. But now we need to do the same for the take profit. So here we say, okay, TP, price, take profit, but here instead of subtracting, we need to add. So we are going to put here that. And now we also need to say that, hey, in another case, it means that it's a sell. We are going to put here this, instead of ask, we put bid, and now it's the other way around. Here in the stop loss, we add, and here in the take profit, we subtract. Why do we add here and why do we subtract here? Just think of this. If we open, let me go here to MetaTrader 5, a sell position, the take profit is going to be under the current price. So that's why we are subtracting for the take profit. But the stop loss is going to be above, and that's why we are adding for the stop loss. But this is only in the case of a sell. If we have a buy, it's the other way around, because you want the price to go up. So if the price, we open a buy here and the price goes up, the take profit is above, and here the stop loss is below. So, okay. Now we need to define several things. First of all, it's basically that example that I told you. We have to set the deviation equal to 20. We have to put here, well, we have to create a dictionary, and we have to say operation. We have to put action, and we say, okay, this is a trade action deal. Then we need to set the symbol, and the symbol is the market. We also need to set the volume, and the volume is the lotage. We also need to set the type, well, the lotage. We need to also define the lotage, receive the lotage. And this is the last thing that we need to receive, don't worry. So we put this as a float. We need to receive also the current, well, the type. So we are going to set this as the type of the operation that we receive. We need to also set the price. So this is going to be the price, the stop loss. This is going to be SL, the take profit. This is going to be take profit, the deviation. This is going to be deviation, the magic. This is going to be the magic. A comment, for example, let's put Kevin's Python operation, and a type time. So we are going to set here type time equal to MT5 order time GTC. And we need one last thing, and this is very important because this has given me a lot of issues in the past. So we are going to put here type filling, and here you set type order filling, and you see that you have three options, just these three. So if you receive a strange error, it's probably this. So this is depending on your broker. So one broker uses this fork, another one uses the EOC, another one uses return. So you have to use the one that the broker uses. And in order to know which one it uses, I recommend you trying. So yeah, we are going to use this one, which is the one that Evolve uses. And now we are ready to open an operation. So here we are going to say, okay, the result of calling the MT5 order send operation is going to be, we are going to put here a print. Let's put operation, and here we put order send, and yeah, let's not put many things. So for example, if result red code is different than MT5 trade red code done, which means that everything is okay. This means that everything is okay. If it is different, it means that it's not. So we are going to put here print error opening up position. So we are going to return none. And finally, we just need to set the arguments here. So we said that we need the market. So we are going to do data market. Let me check that it is in this way, yeah, market. And let's put here data lotage, and finally the type of the operation. In this case is a buy, so we put here order type buy, and it's almost everything the same, but we need to set here the sell. And yeah, I think we have finished with the bot. So what we can do now is testing if everything is okay. So let's come here. If we have any print, let's remove this print. And I forgot a very important thing here, which is closing the connection. So here we have to do connection close and server socket close. So that's why we needed the server socket. I thought that we didn't need it. Server socket, and I think I imported this, and I have to return the server socket. I don't want this XML. So yeah, let's try now that everything is okay. And I haven't put the message for the orders, so let's come here to the orders, and yeah, it should print this, but it is not printing this. And why not? I know why not, because we haven't, oh my god, come here, we haven't defined one thing. Let me now close this. So okay, well, that's okay because we closed that very fast, but we haven't done in the bot the thread orders function. So let's do it very fast. So here we are going to put threading thread target. We are going to import the order file. So this is going to be order thread orders, and the arguments are the self peel to kill, and what else do we need? Let me put this, the data, the self data, and the self trading data. So with this we are almost there. We need to add this to the thread lists so we can later close the threads correctly. Append, let me put the S here, append the thread and start the thread. So I think that now we have truly finished, and let me start this. Okay, I have misspelled this somewhere. So what is that? Thread, what am I putting? Thread module, okay, here, thread. So okay, let me close this, and now the bad thing is that whenever it's blocked is because the socket is waiting for a connection, and I should put a timeout. Like, look, if you want to make this better, you can put a timeout so you don't have to wait. So we press this, and as you can see, the orders is not yet because the MACD is not yet, like it hasn't loaded anything. So here we are going to put this, the connection is established, and once the connection is established, it says orders running, but we have an error, and it's that the key error market is not defined. So that should be because I defined here market, and yeah, what is happening? So if I come to thread orders, it is saying that here, okay, we don't need to use data. It is, instead of data, let me copy all this. No, not this. It's not data. Here, it's trading data. So here we are going to put trading data. Let's go to the other one because it's also trading data. And yeah, we kill the threads, we start this, let me close this, open this again, and now, okay, it's from here, we don't have any errors, so it means that everything is okay. So now the ideal thing will be to check if this opens a trade. So for example, if this goes down, it should open a trade, a sell trade. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to do that, if it is not going to do that. So, okay, we have a problem here, and is that non-type has no attribute point. So it was going to open a position, that's a good sign. But here, it says this. So let me check what is wrong. Because here, MT5 symbol info market, and it's saying that object node type has this. So what we can do is that we can print the market. Well, we don't need it, so basically it's here. So if we come here to the define, we have BTC EUR. Okay, we start the bot, we send to the thread orders the trading data, and I think what is happening. So basically I think that to the open position, well no, but we have fixed that before. So I don't really know what is happening. So here, let me check, give me 1 second. Okay, so I think that I know what is happening, and is that you need to initialize the MT5. Basically, you need to do this. So you have to import MetaTrader 5 as MT5, let me put this here, and this function initialize is acting as connecting to the client, to this here. So not by sockets, but connecting that so you can use the functions of MetaTrader 5. So here we're going to say initialize, I think it was like that. We can check this in the example we have before here. So it is this here, initialize, and basically, yeah. So now, if we close this, and here I have this line, let me come here to orders. Here I have this line in which there was the error. So if I execute this again, there is no error. But yeah, let me put everything as it was before. So again, you can put a timeout here so you don't have to do this all the time to close it. So okay, we can do the following. So let me put here Python main.py. Okay, the MACD thread is working. I have to come here. I have to reinitialize this. So okay, now everything is fine. And we just need to wait until there's a new MACD thing. But yeah, it looks like it's going to take time. So I will try to record this and I will show you. So I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you understood how to create a MACD bot in Python. This is something that, yeah, it has cost me a lot. Like, this is a very long video. So give it a like, share, subscribe, and see you in the next one.